Today, we're diving into one of the oldest human experiences there is, that nagging feeling that a piece of us is missing. And we're going to explore the ancient, primal quest to become whole again. Have you ever gone through something really difficult and just not felt like the same person on the other side? As if a part of your light, your joy, or your power just vanished. It's this profound sense of inner emptiness that feels so deeply personal, and yet it's something humans have understood for ages. And this isn't just some modern-day anxiety. Nope. For tens of thousands of years, shamanic cultures all over the globe have had a very specific name for this condition. They call it soul loss. And for them, it's a spiritual wound that lies at the very heart of so much of our suffering. So, what exactly is this ancient wound? And how can a concept from our most distant ancestors describe a feeling that is so common in our world today? All right, let's break it down. From the shamanic point of view, your soul isn't just some abstract idea. It's your literal life force. But when you're under extreme stress, like an accident, a sudden shock, a devastating loss, a piece of that vital essence can actually fragment and flee. It's a kind of spiritual survival mechanism, really. A part of you leaves so that the rest of you can endure something that might otherwise be completely unbearable. What's so wild here is how familiar all of this sounds. This isn't just ancient history. This is the language of modern suffering. We're talking about that psychological numbness, that chronic fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix, that feeling that your eyes have no sparkle. You feel scattered, you can't focus, and you just don't feel truly present in your own life. And here is where we see this stunning connection between ancient wisdom and modern psychology. Both traditions are describing the same core event, fragmentation as a response to trauma. Psychology calls it dissociation, a defense mechanism where parts of your mind just check out. Carl Jung called these complexes, splintered parts of our personality. Shamans call it a lost soul piece. The fact that these two completely different traditions came to the same conclusion tells us something really fundamental about how the human psyche works. It has an escape hatch. Okay, so if fragmentation is the psyche's escape hatch, who were the first masters at navigating that hidden landscape to bring back what was lost? For that, we have to turn to the shaman, the original surgeon of the soul. The great historian of religion Mircea Eliade defined shamanism with this really powerful phrase. Now, when he says ecstasy, he doesn't just mean happiness. It comes from the Greek word ekstasis, which literally means to stand outside oneself. And that is the shaman's core skill, to intentionally shift consciousness, to leave this ordinary world behind and journey into the landscape of the spirit. And this is no new age invention, not by a long shot. This is arguably humanity's oldest spiritual practice. We see hints of it in cave art that's 40,000 years old. These techniques were so established that when people crossed the Bering Land Bridge into the Americas, they brought a shared shamanic foundation with them. I mean, this practice has been with us for nearly the entire time we've been human. So how did they do it? How'd they achieve this state of ecstasy? They developed what we can honestly call psychotechnologies. These are deliberate, repeatable ways to alter consciousness. The relentless beat of a drum, dancing until your sense of self dissolves, fasting, isolation. These weren't random rituals. They were precision tools, all designed to unlock the doors of perception. But to become a true healer of souls, a shaman first had to go on the most profound journey of all, a complete deconstruction and reconstruction of their own self. You know, in our culture, we're so afraid of falling apart. But in the shamanic worldview, that shattering isn't a catastrophe. It's a necessary initiation. It's a breakthrough, not a breakdown. It's that moment you realize the old you has to die so that a new, more expansive consciousness can be born. And this process is often experienced in a deeply, deeply visceral way. The shaman-to-be might have visions of being literally torn apart by spirits, dismembered down to the bone, and then painstakingly put back together. It's a terrifying, symbolic ordeal, and it represents the total annihilation of their old, limited identity. So what's happening here, in psychological terms, is a form of ego death. It's the ultimate surrender. By surviving this symbolic death and rebirth, the shaman is no longer defined by their personal history or their fears. A new spiritual identity emerges from the ashes, one that's connected to everything and is capable of navigating those other worlds. Now, this core shamanic idea that the soul can journey beyond the body, it isn't just confined to hunter-gatherer tribes. We actually see it echoing all throughout human history, just taking on different forms in different cultures. I mean, take ancient Egypt. They had this idea of the Ba, a part of the soul they pictured as a human-headed bird that could just fly free from the body. Now, fast forward to Greek philosophy. They saw the psyche or soul as this immortal essence that was trapped in the body, just yearning to ascend to a higher reality. The language is different, but that core idea of a mobile, journeying soul, it's remarkably consistent. And this soul flight became the ultimate metaphor for psychological exploration in our literature. Dante's journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven, that's not a travel guide. It's a map of the soul's struggle. William Blake literally visited heaven and hell in his visions. And then in the 20th century, you have Carl Jung, who undertook his own harrowing descent into his unconscious, which he recorded in his Red Book. It was a conscious attempt to find and reintegrate the lost parts of his own soul. And this brings us full circle. If soul loss is the wound and the journey inward is the path, then how in the world can we apply this ancient wisdom to heal our modern, fragmented selves? The specific shamanic answer to soul loss is a healing ceremony called soul retrieval, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. The shaman enters a trance, journeys into the spirit world to find that lost soul fragment, and persuades it to come back. It's a practice designed specifically for mending the fragmented self, for bringing back the vitality or the innocence or the power that was lost during trauma. And once again, the parallels with modern trauma therapy here are just stunning. A shaman journeys in a trance. A therapist uses things like guided imagery or hypnosis to help a patient access their subconscious. The shaman is looking for a lost soul part. The therapist is helping a client contact and reintegrate a dissociated part of their psyche. The language is different, the worldview is different, but the core psychological process, it is identical. So whether you call it shamanism or psychotherapy, the fundamental principle of healing is exactly the same. It's not about escaping ourselves or ignoring our pain. True healing is an active, courageous journey inward to find those parts of ourselves that we lost in the darkness and bring them back into the light. And that really leaves us with a final thought. In a culture that so often feels fragmented and stressful, these ancient practices offer a powerful roadmap. They remind us that fragmentation is a wound we can survive. It's not a final destination. The path to becoming whole has been walked by humans for thousands of years. The only question is, are we willing to take the journey?